Red Polly, Red Polly.
Dusty.
Blue Poncho, Blue Poncho.
Tupac.
Street.
Hey, Wilson Hoosier. Hey, Elvis.
Blue 58. Go.
All right, everyone. Welcome to Health Matters, episode 14, week 10 roundup. Brandon, take it away. Bunch of stuff going on, and especially the New Orleans Saints. Holy cow.
Yeah, they're not looking good. It was a crazy week this week. 5 games decided by a last-second field goal. Pretty exciting. But, yeah, let's get into that injury roundup. Tyler, start us off.
Yeah, let's start with quarterback Taylor Heineke went out with a hamstring injury and could not return. We know hamstring injuries plague the NFL. So, Doc, quarterbacks, hamstrings, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, our data at the Predictors.com would show that quarterbacks don't miss a ton of time with hamstrings. Why? They're not a wide out, they're not a cornerback, they're not some of these other positions where you're always cutting and running, but it can still be impactful. They still hurt, and they still are a significant problem for our players in the NFL. On average, we see quarterbacks being out about 1.4 games. And when they come back, they have a decreased rushing yard performance, about 10 to 15%. Overall throwing yards, about the same. So we'll see him back pretty quick, if not in 1 to 2 weeks, and should be a pretty good performance overall.
Yeah, Desmond Ridder, the backup, he didn't look too great, so they may need him back fairly quickly. Moving on to the Ravens, they had cornerback Marlon Humphrey. He went down with a weird 9-contact lower leg injury, something we're keeping an eye on, right, Doc?
Yeah, so Ravens quarterback Marlon Humphrey goes down with a non-contact. He was defending a route, no player really even close to him, and then goes down pretty significantly with what looks to be a soft tissue injury to his ankle. There's really not a huge ankle sprain mechanism from our video analysis at the Predictors. We'll wait and see and await additional information from the team, but the concern here, especially the way this happened from a soft tissue injury, it could be a pretty significant Achilles strain or a tear in that back of that ankle, just the way he went down and through our video analysis. So hopefully it's not a season-ending Achilles injury, but we will watch this. Stay tuned at thepredictors.com for more.
Yeah, we'll await the results from all the testing and imaging that will be done today and hope for the best for him. And for the first player on the Saints that we're going to talk about today, we have Saints cornerback Marshon Lattimore. He suffered an ankle injury, and they were playing on the slip film turf out in Minnesota, where at the Predictors.com, our data has shown that ankle injuries increased by around 16% while playing on slip film turf. Doc, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, Ryan, that slip film is not just artificial turf, but it's kind of the worst brand of artificial turf based on our data. So already artificial turf is worse than grass. So you're already worse than regular artificial turf with slip film. And so you can see Lattimore went down, got his foot caught. Pretty classic, looks like a high ankle sprain. We'll await additional MRI imaging. For a player like this, the average miss time is almost 3.8 games, and they come back and they're down about 15 to 20% their first 3 games back until they level off. So it's a pretty significant and notable injury. I think we'll be without Lattimore for multiple weeks, but we'll await the MRI to see the severity of this injury.
Yeah, and as Ryan said, there were a couple players on that Saints team who got injured this past Sunday, including Derek Carr, their quarterback, who suffered a shoulder injury and a concussion, as well as their wide receiver, Michael Thomas, who had an ankle injury. And we know Michael Thomas has a deep injury history. So, Doc, it seems like the Saints had a really rough Sunday.
Yeah, three big injuries, all occurring in a time when they need to stay healthy. And so you got Derek Carr, who took a pretty good hit. Actually, his coach said he went into the concussion protocol, but also looks like he had an AC shoulder sprain. Took a hit. Derek Carr took a hit right to the lateral side of the shoulder. In general, this is usually an injury to the AC joint, but could also be some soft tissue contusions to the deltoid or other muscles around that area. Fortunately, the pads protect it pretty well, but the AC joint is the one that we watch. Hopefully it isn't too bad in that AC joint, but really we'll watch him through the concussion protocol. And obviously Michael Thomas is no stranger to injury, and probably see him out at least 1 to 2 weeks, but we'll wait additional information from the team.
And I think it's worth mentioning, too, that after the game, Michael Thomas went onto Twitter and retweeted someone's tweet from earlier on in the season mentioning that the US Bank Stadium has slip film turf that we have continuously shown to have an increase in injuries almost every single injury we look at, all the lower body injuries.
Yeah, slit film is an issue. MetLife got rid of it this year. They went to a just more general artificial product. Tottenham has it in London. US Bank, among several other stadiums, still in the NFL. The slit film's an issue because it's got a honeycomb type of appearance. The slit film is very durable because it's got this compression honeycomb type of setup of the fibers, but it can be an issue. And the players say that they feel their cleats and part of their cleats and shoes gets caught in the honeycomb of the slit film. So although it's more durable, certainly our data at the Predictors shows it creates more injuries, especially ankle, some knee, and also hamstring.
Yeah, hopefully my hometown team, the Saints, can get healthy and make a little run later on. We're tired of seeing those losses each week. So on the defensive side of the ball, the biggest hit of the day was the Steelers linebacker Kwon Alexander, who had a non-contact Achilles injury. They're saying it's a tear. He'll be out for the season. We're not sure if it's the same one he tore a couple years ago or not, but what's the impact of this, Doc?
Yeah, it's pretty significant. Kwon had a prior Achilles injury, and which he missed the latter part of a season and was able to get back in 8 months after this injury to his prior Achilles in about 2020. But certainly got another Achilles tear. We'll wait and see and get more information. But unfortunately, his season's over. The Steelers are already starting pretty banged up. The Steelers' banged up score, in fact, on the defense side going into this game was 67.5. And guess what? That's not going to be any better rolling into next week.
Yeah, we need to get them healthy on defense so they can make a run. They're a fun team in the playoff time. Ryan, give us the concussion update this week. Who's banged up on the concussion side?
Yeah, so Rams cornerback Amik Robertson went to concussion protocol this week, along with Vikings running back Alexander Madison and Colts offensive lineman Ryan Kelly.
All right, everyone, check in at thepredictors.com throughout the week for all the latest and all the updates on your injuries, players, and predictions going into week 11.
Okay, Tyler, you're our fantasy expert. You're back in this week. Tell us who the fantasy performers coming off injury were this week. Give us our best one.
Yeah, well, let's start with Kyler Murray. I mean, this was a huge one, right? We've been waiting to see him back, see how he performed coming back from that ACL injury. And he actually did pretty well. 18 points, had 250 yards passing and 33 yards rushing and a rushing touchdown. So I think owners of Kyler Murray on their fantasy teams had to be pretty happy with what he did on that field. He was a little bit down in rushing than his average, but that's to be expected with what he was coming back from.
Yeah, we predicted him being down a little bit in rushing, but still 18 fantasy points, 250 yards, and did have a key rushing touchdown. So he's there. And what we see especially is the confidence side. And we'll see Kyler get more confident from a mental standpoint. And our data shows with about 17, 18 quarterbacks we've been tracking, especially coming back from ACL, is that it takes about 3 to 4 games after they return to get that confidence back and get their running game back for those that are mobile quarterbacks.
Yeah, good to see him back rolling. Let's see what he does this coming week as well. Another guy, Jamar Chase, he had that back injury. And if you were watching Sunday morning football countdown, they panned to that about 10 times every time they were checking on him on the warm-ups. He ended up pushing through, and he had a pretty good game with 124 yards, a touchdown, and 23 points in the fantasy league. They're on a short week this week. They got a Thursday night game, so let's see if he can put out the same performance. You think he can, Tyler?
Yeah, Jamar Chase is one of those guys who, if he has any chance of playing, he's out there. I mean, we've seen him battle through injuries before. So I definitely think, if you have him on your team, you have to play him. And I think he'll battle through. I think he'll give a good performance. They need it, judging by how their offense looked in the first half of that game.
Another good performer that we had was TJ Hawkinson. He came into a rib injury, but he didn't let that slow him down. He put up 30 points with 134 yards and a touchdown. Great game coming off his ribs injury.
Okay, Tyler, tell us about the poor performance side on the injury guys. Who did not do well coming off injury this week?
Yeah, the Colts wide receiver Josh Downs coming off with a knee injury, only had 6 points, 40 yards. Not a great game for him, and he's someone that everyone's been eyeing. He's been playing pretty well, but not exactly what we were looking for from him. But if you follow the predictors on our social media, that was one guy who we said definitely do not play. So we kind of saw that coming with our data.
Yeah, he didn't look very well running around in Germany this week. Ryan, what about you? You got one?
Yeah, Commanders Curtis Samuel. He went into the game dealing with a toe injury. He didn't do too hot. He only put up 2 points for 6 yards in the Commanders' 3-point loss to the Seahawks.
Yeah, so I would keep him off the lineup, right, Tyler?
Yeah, keep him off. It's been a couple of games he's been dealing with that, and they let him get in there. They said he was going to play, but he just can't perform on that toe right now. That's hard for a wide receiver.
Okay, yeah, let's look ahead now. It's week 11 coming up, moving along in the season. We got the Steelers and the Browns playing. Deshaun Watson, he had a good game back, but then he was in a boot after the game. So hopefully he can maintain his status back onto the field. What do you think, Doc?
Yeah, it looked like Deshaun had something happen a little bit before halftime. Went in, the athletic trainers gave him a little bit extra tape during halftime, came out and actually did pretty well. He had 19 yards and at the end of the game for a couple key rushes there with the football. So hopefully he'll stay on track. Hopefully the boot's just a little bit precautionary. I don't expect him to miss much time, and they'll certainly be maximizing his rehabilitation, game ready, ice, compression, modalities, and some other things for him this week. Keep in mind, Deshaun's also coming out for that shoulder subscapularis rotator cuff injury, but he's been looking better and better with that. So we'll keep an eye on him, but I expect him to be back here pretty quick and in pretty good form.
Definitely. Yeah, Tyler, what does it mean when they spat a guy up at halftime? Tell us about that in the locker room experience.
Yeah, well, that's usually when they're dealing with an ankle injury. It's easy, it's quick. It's definitely easy to do on the sideline when they have to get back in there. So usually those guys already have some type of ankle tape underneath their socks and cleats. But when you spat it up, you give them a little bit extra. Sometimes you can even use some stiffer tape on there, especially for the guys in the trenches and those type of guy who needs it. But it's a quick way. It's strong, and it holds up against everything that's going on in that game. So when they get spatted up, there's definitely an ankle injury usually, or at least a foot ankle injury that they need to make sure they protect. And this is a big game for both the Steelers and the Browns. They're both 6-3, so this is a big in division game. So I expect anyone who's able to play will be out there.
Yeah, that Steelers defense, though. What are we going to do about that, guys?
Yeah, it's going to be a significant factor. Obviously got Alexander out. That 67.5 is going to go down much lower for that Steelers defense bus score. So we'll keep an eye on that, but certainly something to watch for those that are thinking about how this game time performance is going to be. Just another thing on the halftime at the NFL, it's really quick for those that haven't been, to an NFL game or seen it. A lot of times you're on the red zone or looking at other games. Halftime is really quick in the NFL, and you got to get a lot of stuff done. So it's amazing how many things get done in that locker room in a short amount of time. And we're talking 12, 14 minutes before the teams have to get back on the field and get ready to play the third quarter. So hats off to the athletic training staff, medical staff that are doing a ton of work in there, have been in there. It is like fast and furious on top of all the adjustments and game planning from the coaches, not just all the medical tune-ups.
Yeah, one word they always use is controlled chaos.
That's
Get it
about right.
rolling. All right, another game we're looking at, the Cardinals and the Texans. We got Kyler Murray coming into his week 2 back, week 2 for him. And they got a win last week. Can they salvage the season with him at quarterback?
Personally, I think the Texans are taking this one. I love how Kyler Murray came back. I love how he played. James Conner ran hard, but at the end of the day, the Texans, CJ Stroud, Tank Dell, that team looks strong. I know they're dealing with some injury stuff running back, but they're finding holes in defense. And I just got to think the Texans are going to keep continuing that run.
Yeah, they've been playing great. CJ Stroud, just on Twitter after the game, people are talking about him being a candidate for the MVP talk, He's just playing out of his mind. He's playing better than the rookie has. He's the best rookie that we've seen in a while at quarterback. He's just playing out of his mind right now.
Yeah, that'll be a fun one to watch. The Texans, man, they haven't been relevant in a while, so it's good to see them back out there. All right, last game we're going to preview this week, guys, the Jets and the Bills. Aaron Rodgers came out and said he wants to be back in mid-December, but right now, the way the Jets look, what do you think? Can they survive until then?
Yeah, the NBC crew was talking to Rodgers apparently before the game and talked a little bit about it during the game that he's feeling actually reasonably mobile, but said that he still doesn't have that toe off and is waiting for that toe off push off, which is super key for a quarterback. Now, I think it's still optimistic for mid-December, but again, we've talked about what Aaron Rodgers had for repair: speed bridge, high strength suture tape, fiber tape type sutures, biologics, other things to really get you back fast, efficient, and stronger. So we'll see, but he's got to be able to toe off and got to be able to have that strength. I think it's a little bit optimistic. And of course, Brandon, like you said, I got to see how the Jets are doing with their current situation. But, they're definitely going to need some help, and it might be good to try to get him in at the end of the season just to see what it looks like for a preview of even next season.
Yeah. Tyler, what do you think on this game?
Got to go with the Bills. They've been a little bit shaky. Josh Allen's having trouble with interceptions for sure. We'll see how he does tonight. But currently, I think he's longest of his career. He's got 5 games with an interception. See if he can avoid it. But that team, they're up and down. But the Jets, just like they said last night, if you watch the game, they play well and then they make a mistake that hurts them at the end of the day. And I think that's a lot in that quarterback position, but also the offensive line letting guys through. So I think they'll have to. I think the Bills will come out with that win. Doc, the one question I have with Aaron Rodgers is, I know you talk about him coming back and being stronger and things, but is it safe? Is it safe for him to come back that early, or is that re-injury risk going to skyrocket?
Yeah, the re-injury risk is certainly there, Tyler. It's hard to say. We're starting to push the envelope more and more, getting players back as safely and efficiently as we think we can. He's going to give us some data points and help us understand how these newer, more advanced repairs are doing that Rodgers had, and we'll have to see. We'll have to see how it goes. I don't know, Tyler. It's good. It's a really good question. We need more data.
Yeah, if he does make it back, that'll be pretty good sign of things to come in that surgery standpoint, right?
No question. Yep. Well, I know Raiders fans were holding their breath at the end of the game with a Wilson to Wilson Hail Mary. Fortunately, the Raiders fans, you prevailed at the end, but that was quite a game on Sunday night. Everyone, thanks for listening. Follow us at thepredictors.com for all the updates this week. A lot of stuff going on. Check out the bus scores, check out your teams, and we'll be sure to follow them along with you.